Welcome, this is Automotive Anonymous, and that's the 2024 Subaru Outback Wilderness. And that's the 2024 Subaru Crosstrek Wilderness. And today in this comprehensive side-by-side review, I get to compare these two different Wilderness models for you. The purpose of this comprehensive side-by-side video is to help you decide what might be right for you. And I'm choosing these two Wilderness models first, as they're very similar in their sales popularity, and Subaru's Wilderness lineup has honestly brought a lot of people to consider a Subaru that may not have otherwise done so. I will also do a Crosstrek Wilderness versus a Forester Wilderness video soon. And as we get into this video, if it's helpful to you in any way, please consider liking the video to help it get spread like butter on warm toast. But also, that really shows me that you want to watch more of this type of review. Otherwise, if you're new to my channel, I actually owned a Subaru Crosstrek for 2 years and 40,000 miles. And then most recently, I've owned an Outback Wilderness for just over 2 years and almost 30,000 miles. And then between my channel, I've driven dozens of these new Subarus. Big thanks to Twin Falls Subaru for letting me borrow dozens of their new Subarus. And now, let's dive right in with this review. The Subaru Outback first came out in 1995 in the United States. It's based off of the Legacy sedan, but it's lifted, it's extended, and it's pretty darn cool. This is still the 6th generation of the Subaru Outback that started in 2020. It's possible the 7th generation could come out next year for 2025, but I personally think it's more likely that it'll come out the following year in 2026. And then Subaru blessed us with the Wilderness trim level in 2022. Whereas the Crosstrek only came out in 2013. And this 2024 is the first year of the 3rd generation, which is very similar to the 2nd generation. It's also the first year of the Subaru Crosstrek Wilderness, and in fact there's not very many of these on the street yet, so in person you maybe haven't even seen one yet, but they do look good in person. There's a lot that they have to offer, but is it a better value than the Outback Wilderness, or is it missing a few features for the price tag? The Crosstrek sold 155,000 units in North America for 2022. There's 5 trim levels of it. The base starts as little as $25,000. The Wilderness starts as little as $32,000. But after a few extra goodies and destination, this one specifically is about $34,000, with the Wilderness being the apex or the top trim level. Whereas the Outback sold about 147,000 units for 2022 in North America. The Wilderness is the 7th of the 9 trim levels. The base Outback starts at $29,000, but a base Wilderness before destination starts at about 40 grand. So as you'll see, this one is spec'd to about $42,000. Because the Crosstrek is basically the little brother to the bigger Outback wagon, its wheel size is also one smaller. It's a Yokohama Geolander all-terrain tire. They've held up really well on my own Outback. At about 28,000 miles, I still have, I think, about a 1/4 inch of tread depth left. They're mountain peak rated. They do really well in the snow. The downside is, because the Crosstrek is based off of the Impreza, it no longer fits a full-size spare tire. It's a temporary spare on a Wilderness model. What's up with that, Subaru? And it's a 225/60/17, whereas the Outback has a slightly larger 225/65/17, and it has a full-size spare hiding in the cargo area. What's pretty funny is these have the exact same highway EPA rated range of 481 miles, but the Crosstrek can do it for about $8 less where I'm at. Thankfully, these both only take 87 octane is what's recommended. So the Crosstrek has a 16.6 gallon tank. It gets about 25 city, 29 on the highway, whereas the bigger Outback gets about 21 city, 26 highway. The Crosstrek has a 2.5 liter boxer that makes a whopping 182 horsepower at 6,000 RPM and about 176 foot-pound-feet of the twisty stuff at 4,400 RPM. But at altitude where I'm at, the average day, these mathematically are down on power about 15 to 20%. So essentially they only make 140 horsepower equivalent if they were at sea level. So whereas the Outback Wilderness with its turbo makes 260 horsepower and it loses less power because of the compressor factor of the turbo, it essentially is only down on power to maybe about 240 mathematically. That's why the Outback turbo engine, which basically also has double the low-end torque of around 277 foot-pounds as little as 2,000 RPM, means it's far superior in the acceleration category, often by about 3 seconds in my own GPS testing. The back of these Wildernesses continues to get even more interesting. The Crosstrek weighs just under 3,400 pounds and has a payload capacity of 900 pounds, so you can hold 900 pounds worth of people or stuff in your Crosstrek. It has a 411 final drive ratio, 9.3 inches of ground clearance, and it can climb up to a 38-degree grade. Its front approach angle is 20 degrees, its rear departure angle is actually pretty impressive at 33 degrees, and then has a 21 breakover angle, while being able to tow up to 3,500 pounds, which I personally think would be a little bit sketchy to tow more than you weigh in a unibody crossover like this. On the other hand, the Outback weighs about 500 pounds more at 3,900 pounds, but it has the same 900-pound payload capacity. That's probably because these are on a very similar Subaru Global all-wheel drive platform. So there's going to be a lot of similarities between the two. But it also has a 20-degree approach angle, a much less impressive 23.6 departure angle, and then the same 21-degree breakover angle. It can also tow 3,500 pounds, and between its bigger size and its way more powerful engine, I think it's going to be a lot less sketchy to tow with the Outback Wilderness. And then it has 9.5 inches of ground clearance, a final drive ratio a little bit more aggressive than the Crosstrek's at 444, and it can climb up an impressive 40-degree grade. But if you have a smaller garage, you're tight on space, or your parking spots are a little bit smaller, the Crosstrek is going to be the better option because it's only 14.7 feet long. The wheelbase is 8 3/4. It's just under 6 feet wide and about 5.3 feet tall, and it can do a full circle in 35.5 feet. It's finally time to get into the interior of the vehicle, but you'll notice that the power liftgates open to about the same height, but they do it drastically different. The Crosstrek is manual, there's no power liftgate. It has a handle and then it has the secret pin code button. I have a video on how to set that to get into your vehicle without having the keys. It's a really cool feature that Subaru offers. And then the Outback is a power liftgate with the locking mechanism up top, and it also has the secret pin code button right there. Otherwise, back here, you have 21 cubic feet of room when the seats are up in the Crosstrek, and you have 55 when they're down. They're easy to reach, they're easy to lower, and if you're not overly tall, you could car camp back here. There are mattresses that companies make. And then you have a privacy shade, you have your all-weather mat, you have your dog bowl, you have your Snickers compartment for when you have to change that temporary spare tire, because you're not going to be very happy doing that. Otherwise, it's pretty capable for a sub 15-foot long vehicle. And then the Outback, it's over 50% more cargo capacity, 33 cubic feet back here. You also have handles to drop the seats. When they do drop, it's about 75 feet. So it's easier to car camp back here. You also have a privacy shade, a similar Subaru Wilderness mat, a Harman Kardon subwoofer, some more protective rubber lining, and then your full-size spare down here. But no dog bowls, unfortunately. Thankfully, you do have a storage compartment for the privacy shade and the grooves of the foam if you don't want to have that out. And then a little bit more storage behind the rear wheel well with the 12-volt. We're gonna hop in the back seats next, and dang, does that sapphire blue pearl look fantastic, especially in this overcast day. Door panel follows the same theme as most other Crosstreks, but they are pretty nice soft touch materials. The seats look really comfortable, star text all around. We're gonna hop inside. I'm 5'11". I have that much room in front of my knees, probably about an inch above my head. I have some plugins, but no vents or heated seats or anything. This new gen does have cup holders in the rear armrest, which does feel pretty stable. And overall, it's comfortable. The seats feel good. I wish there was a tiny bit more lumbar support, but honestly, they're back seats, I can't complain. And then over to the Geyser Blue, or what I have trouble not pronouncing, Geezer Blue. The back door panel, a little bit bigger than the Crosstrek's, a little bit nicer materials, but overall same soft touch, comfortable theme. StarTech seats throughout. These actually recline a few degrees, so you can have a little bit more room for taller passengers. Otherwise, it's easy to climb into. It doesn't feel like it sits any higher than the Crosstrek. I have that much room in front of my knees, double mat pockets, pant flints, vents, heated seats, plugins, and armrests in the back as well. Both of these vehicles are very comfortable in the back seats, but the Outback, being a little bit bigger, definitely takes the cake. And then the driver's seat of the Crosstrek. Door panel, again, looks very similar to other Crosstrek trim levels. Nothing on the door sill, all other mats, rubberized pedals, hood release, fuse box. Not really any options on this one, but thankfully you do get a knee airbag. Ventilation, lighting stock. And then this one doesn't have the power moonroof, power seats, and Harman Kardon system, so it's a manually adjusted seat with Subaru Wilderness stamped in the top. And then when you're sitting inside the Crosstrek, it feels familiar, it feels very comfy, very cozy at my height. I'm enjoying it. The horn is kind of high pitched though. Did you hear that? That's very high pitched, sounds like a Roadrunner horn or something. Anyways, leather wrapped wheel, copper accents, all your voice and volume controls on the left, adaptive cruise control settings on the right, paddle shifters for the 8-speed simulated gears. Starts right up, the needles dance. The 11.6-inch screen appears. To get into X mode, you have to do that through the screen, which most of your HVAC controls are as well. The camera quality, it's okay. It's a little bit grainy, and it's probably not going to show well on camera with the protective film on this bone stock model. Otherwise, you have wireless charging, your plugins, your aux, piano black around the shifter, heated seats, electronic parking brake. Where is the front-facing camera on a Wilderness model? Come on, Subaru. 12-volt CD player, because this center console is basically carryover from the second generation Crosstrek that had a CD player. And then nothing in the center console, but it's actually pretty big for this class of vehicle. Up top you have the garage door buttons, the auto dimming mirrors, you have blind spot monitoring on that new little nub of a button, and then turn signals on the left of the mirror. LED light upgrade on this one, extendable sunshade, and then lighting with the LED upgrade kit again right there on the mirror to check yourself out. No power moonroof as factory, but overall it's a pretty nice place to be. Let's hop in the Outback. Over here, nice big door panel, soft touch materials throughout, Harman Kardon speakers on this one, and bottle holder with some snacks. Subaru on the door sill, all weather mats, rubberized pedals, hood release, fuse box, a couple options because of the power liftgate basically. Trip reset, lighting stock, and 10-way power adjusted seat. They're heated all around on both of these Wilderness models. Subaru Wilderness stamped in the headrest. And then sitting inside here, feels very comfy, very cozy. There's a lot of room. It's easy to find a comfortable driving position. We're gonna fire right up with the push button start. The needles dance. The headlights do a little theatrical display because they are steering responsive. But basically the same wheels, the Crosstrek. The horn, a little bit deeper than the Crosstrek. You have all of the same info buttons, voice and volume on the left, paddle shifters on the back of the wheel, adaptive cruise on the right, and then this has the heated steering wheel standard, so it's no longer just a Canadian feature. X mode is still controlled through the screen. It's basically the exact same screen. You still have to turn off auto start stop if you don't like that feature on this. The backup camera, clarity. I feel like the Crosstrek's is actually a little bit better. And then the front facing camera, again, it only fills up so much of the screen because it's vertically very tall for this 11.6-inch rating. Otherwise, you have all of your plugins, your wireless charging, electronic parking brake, your cup holders, and then a 2-stage center console with a 12-volt in there. There's also 12-volt in the glove box if you're new to the Outback platform. Otherwise, this one also has the auto-dimming mirrors, the home link settings, all of the blind spot monitors, and turn signals on the mirror. When you pull this off, it slides like that. LED lighting, the mirror to check yourself out. And then this one doesn't actually have the sunroof package on it. Anyways, let's hop out. In this video, I'm not going to show you driving impressions because you're welcome to check those out in individual review videos that I've done. But I will say they both drive really well. They're both very safe vehicles. The Crosstrek is a top safety pick. The Outback is a top safety pick, plus it's bigger. It has more features, being a little bit more expensive, so you can expect it to be safer. But the Crosstrek Wilderness is safer than the average vehicle as is. They both drive really well on the road. With over 9 inches of ground clearance, they both do phenomenal for taking you off-road, taking you where you need to be on gravel, dirt roads. I just wouldn't go rock climbing. This isn't a Wrangler, this isn't a Tacoma or a Raptor. So keep perspective on its capability. But these are very capable for crossover unibody vehicles. The Outback, though, is substantially faster. These typically do 0 to 60 in the low to high 6s, whereas 2.5-liter Crosstreks typically are the mid 8s to about 10 seconds because they're more affected by density altitude where I live than a turbo engine, although they're both adequate in what they can do. Overall, I would say the Crosstrek wins in the categories of it being more exciting because it's brand new. It's also offered in better colors, gets 3 miles per gallon better on the highway. It has a drastically better departure angle by about 50% or 10 degrees. and then it's almost $8,000 cheaper without the speaker, moonroof, and power seat package. And currently the Crosstrek is the better seller over the Outback by about 5%, at least as of 2022. And then the Outback is slightly safer. It has a lot more cargo capacity and feels and looks more like a wagon, if that's what you're going after. And then it has way more standard features like the Harman Kardon speakers, the heated steering wheel, the front-facing camera, the 700-pound roof rail rating for a rooftop tent or more cargo, and then it has a better skid plate and less standard door cladding. So if that matters to you, it's also built off of the Legacy platform, which is a more substantial car than the Impreza, which is what the Crosstrek is based off of. But it also costs $8,000 more, or about 25% more than the Wilderness Crosstrek. So you better be getting quite a bit more for your money, otherwise it could be a ripoff. With all this said, ultimately, they're both awesome vehicles, and I'm glad they each exist. It's nice to have options with these increased off-road capable Subarus. So, which one are you leaning towards? Comment below, and if you enjoyed my review and you want to see more, please consider subscribing and liking this video to show your appreciation. If you're interested in the gripes or the issues I have with either of these models, I've already posted a 7 issues with the Outback Wilderness, and I'll soon have a 7 issues with the Crosstrek Wilderness, so you're welcome to check those out. Otherwise, until next time, take care. I wish you guys the best. See ya.